feels. I know, and you know, it's a battle. It's a battle, and it's not going to stop now. It's not going to stop tomorrow or the next year. We have to fight really, really hard for the mentality. Is just also the ignorance, because our people are ignorant and naive about HIV and AIDS. So we have to go back again and again and again and do the awarenesses, do the talks, do the workshops, do the seminars, and talk more openly about HIV and AIDS, because we don't. It starts from the talks with sex, because you know, in our culture as black people, we don't talk about sex. It's a taboo to talk about sex. I've never, even I'm a 28-year-old, not even one soul, not even my mother, not even my grandmother have ever had a chat with me about sex. So now we have to bring that mentality of saying, of also, and challenging our culture, you know, of saying that we are going to talk about sex in an open manner, in an open forum, where we are going to air our views and talk more, because now sex, yes, but you know, we have to deal with the issue of HIV. We have to, irrespective of color, race, or what, but we have to deal with that issue. And let's put aside the culture now and deal with the main problem at hand, which is HIV and AIDS.
Nothing, HIV doesn't stop anything from me. I'm continuing with life even while I'm not staying with my husband. There are some people who love me, who want to stay with me. Other ones say, oh, you're so beautiful, I want to marry you. I say, no, I don't want, because they see I'm not written HIV. It's just a virus. So I just take HIV like high blood. Even if you've got high blood, you have to take treatment for life. Once you didn't take your treatment, high blood becomes high. So you have to take treatment so that it must be normal. HIV is like high blood. You have to take your treatment so that your HIV and AIDS must stay under control all the time.
Education in South Africa has improved dramatically in recent years, with schools and communities working in unison to raise awareness of HIV and other sexual health issues. Older generations, however, still know relatively little. In the UK, there had been little mass information since the 1986 Don't Die of Ignorance campaign, which had at best a short-lived impact. Although all secondary schools in the UK are required to provide sex education, the UK still has some of the highest pregnancy and sexually transmitted disease rates amongst teenagers in the developed world.
They told us if we are involved in sexual intercourse, we must use condom, always make love, you know. That's what they told us about.
It's a major disease, and especially because the number of HIV and AIDS sufferers are increasing, and we need to know how to prevent HIV so that more people don't catch it.
Our parents lived before. It also influences the way we live today, because, like, if I can say, I'm talking about the culture that our parents were living in before is totally different from the way we live today, because from cultures, things like sex were not like parents discuss with their children.
I have had absolutely no HIV education, only through scientific backgrounds, and that was only in sixth form. So compared to what the teachers and the students learn in South Africa, I don't think England's doing nearly enough.
Also, our parents want to protect us, so they feel like we are not ready to discuss sex yet. You know, they feel like we're still young, and if maybe I come up with a sex issue to my mom, like she would say, you're too young to talk about. Well, you are too young to talk about sex, and or do you want to have sex, something like that. So that's why we sometimes don't feel like talking about sex. But I think sex is the main thing that we should talk about. You know? Yeah.
Because I feel like many people need to be taught about it and educated, because I know personally I don't really know much about it, and I feel it's kind of ignored quite a lot, especially in this society.
Yeah, there's a lack of awareness. There's a lot of rumours that go around about HIV and AIDS, and that these need to be cleared up, basically.
I think government should produce drugs for HIV and AIDS, so that the learners and the youngsters shouldn't get it easy.
I think I'd ask them also about how their families have accepted the problem and how he or she is dealing with it.
There were others that felt uncomfortable
when we talked about HIV and AIDS, because they believe that HIV and AIDS, it's like an issue that they are not supposed to talk about. So basically, I would first of all encourage people, tell people that if they must be open about what they are like about HIV and AIDS, because it's real and it can affect each and every person.
We teach about sexuality, whereby they have to know about themselves. We teach about the drugs. We teach about different things, like if they can know when to start to have sex or when to delay for sex, the birth controls, everything. Then we also help others. Since you see we are in a disadvantaged area, there are learners whom we support with food on lunch times. There are other institutions which also help us, like Lutheran Church, which help us for the learners who have TB, because we've got some learners who've got TB.
Well, I mean, sex is discussed quite openly now amongst the younger generations, and it's quite prevalent in the media, and it's not really a taboo subject anymore. But with that, you don't really get talking about sexual health or sexually transmitted disease that much, and it really isn't as openly talked about as just sex in general.
The first important question was that, what do they think about sex? The girls say that they think sex is great, they are doing it because it is natural, and also the guys say the same thing. We asked them about what do they think about HIV. Guys said that they think HIV and AIDS is an American idea to destroy sex, while girls say that AIDS is a seriously dangerous disease that we need to take care of as much as we can. And that is true, guys.
If our parents can try to expose them the matter of sex and HIV, and try to introduce it to us, maybe the spreading of AIDS will reduce. We discovered that most teenagers prefer to talk about this issue only with friends, and they are afraid to introduce the matter to their parents because they are not used to talk about these kind of words.
And the situation over here is nowhere near as bad as Africa, and I'm sure the government would say that's because they've done adequate advertising, but the advertising towards prevention of HIV was very much in the 1980s, and people going through the school system now just won't remember it. A lot, they weren't born then, and I think it's very important. We are seeing a rise in HIV again, and schools should definitely address that.
Before I became positive, at school they used to teach us for the safety sex we must use condom, but because I'm married, so I can't say my husband must use a condom. Why? Because I also want a baby, because I'm married, so I didn't use a condom while I stay with my husband. But before I get married, I use condom, but while I'm married, I just do not use condom with my husband because I want the baby, and then I become affected.
There are similar healthcare options in both UK and South Africa, with antiretrovirals and counselling offered to sufferers. It is the accessibility to the treatments that differs widely. In 2004, roughly 78,000 people were receiving ARVs free of charge through public healthcare in South Africa. Compared to the total of 6 million people living with HIV in South Africa, this is a tiny amount, with a national shortage of drugs and a poor healthcare infrastructure being major causes for the problem.
ARVs are administered to sufferers in the UK who have a CD4 count of less than 300. In South Africa, many sufferers have to wait until it drops much lower.
Once they arrive and we see that their CD4 counts are very, very low, even below 50, then we refer them to the counsellors so that they start counselling them, and they get 4 counselling sessions before they start the ARVs. On a third HIV counselling, then they are given a file. The file has got other stories for people who were or who started the ARVs before.
When I first found out, it was a long time ago, and there wasn't any drug therapy, there was no medication